everybody, and welcome to today's webinar brought to you by the CPSA and, of course, Instage. For the next half hour, Instage will unveil the future of sales training and demo a breakthrough technology, AI virtual customer simulations. Today, we are joined by Imran Muna, Strategic Partnerships at Instage, and Nicole McLean, co-founder and vice president of Strategic Partnerships at Instage. Please note that all of today's attendees have been placed on mute for the duration of the webinar and that you may ask questions or make comments using the chat function in your Zoom dashboard. They will be addressed at the end during our Q&A. This session will be recorded and will be sent to our attendees soon after. For those of you on the CPSA designation pathway maintaining your professional development units, this session is worth half of a PDU and you will receive your certificate of participation accompanying the recording after the session. Now, without further ado, I will hand it over to Imran to start. Thanks,
Awesome.
everyone.
Thank you so much, Rupalin, for helping organize this. And thank you, everyone, for joining us and already lighting up the chat with where you're from and some of the excitement here. It is awesome to have you all with us, and we're excited to share some of the insights we've learned from developing this technology, from sharing it with our clients and customers, and we'll talk a bit about how AI is changing this landscape here. And I am super lucky today to be joined by Nicole McLean from our partnerships team, our VP at Instage, as well as Trevor Durdich, who's going to be actually answering some of your questions in the chat and has volunteered to be our sales rep today in the demo we'll be doing. So you're going to get a chance to see what it's actually like when a sales rep is talking to the virtual characters we show you today. And Trevor will also be monitoring the chat to answer questions. So keep an eye out for him there. And thank you, Trevor, for volunteering to show us how we can improve our sales conversations using AI simulations. It will be fun. And as Rupalin said, everyone, please send all your questions our way. We will try to answer as many of them as we can, but don't feel like you need to wait till the end to send those in the chat. Keep those coming, and we'll keep an eye on them. If there's anything I can clarify as we go through the presentation today, I will do that as well. So again, keep those questions coming. And to kick things off here, I really like this question. I hope this stays top of mind throughout the webinar today. What if your sales team could practice their perfect pitch with an AI customer before ever meeting a real one? Keep that at the front of your minds as we talk about this technology today and what kind of value that might have for your sales team. All right, so just a quick overview of what I have planned for today. We're going to be talking about, in general, just some of the AI use cases that are entering the sales world right now. So, of course, we will focus today on virtual simulations, but there are a lot of other adjacent technologies that I think are worth mentioning. And I would love to hear what kind of AI tools you have used so far. Let me know in the chat. Always interesting to hear what folks are up to and how you're finding these tools be helpful. We are going to do a live demo today as well, so you're going to see this technology in action. And of course, we will be answering your questions towards the end. But as I say, if there's anything I can clarify as I'm going along, I'll do that as well. So to kick things off here, some of the AI use cases that our team has seen become prevalent so far are tools like, of course, ChatGPT, Microsoft 365 Copilot. These are tools that we're seeing being used to draft emails. We're, of course, seeing amazing tools like Airgram, Firefly, and now Zoom's native AI companion become very helpful for summarized meetings. I've actually recently started using that this week. If you haven't checked it out, it does a great job telling you what the key takeaways were from your meeting. So if you haven't tried that one, worth checking out. And as I'm mentioning these, folks, let me know, have you tried these? Have you tried ChatGPT? Have you tried any of these Copilot softwares? Of course, there are also tools coming out of industry titans like Salesforce. We're seeing Einstein and additional services being offered through some of the programs you might be familiar with. And those are being used extremely extensively to do market research and competitor analysis and things of that nature. So lots of exciting tools out there helping us in many different ways. Today, of course, we're going to focus on sales training and onboarding specifically. And the reason we're focusing on that at Instage is because from the clients we've spoken to, we know that there is kind of a legacy way of providing this training to sales representatives. And it's traditionally done with a manual role playing. So folks here, How many of you, are doing role playing? Is it an active part of your training program? And are you finding some of these same things? We'll talk to folks, for instance, they'll be doing training with their representatives, but it'll take them, 40 to 60 hours to do some of this manual role playing. And it's, of course, valuable, but extremely time consuming. There's always the chance it gets a little awkward, especially, depending on your relationship with the sales representative. If they're fairly new, it's difficult for them. If they know you well, it becomes a little bit more difficult to make it feel real. So different things that can make the scenario of manual role playing not as authentic as you may like it to be. Also, coming along with it being time consuming, we know it's not something that can always be done as frequently as you may want a sales representative to do this. And of course, every rep needs a different amount of training. So that's something that we know is difficult to do with role playing. And of course, if you're part of a small team, it's a difficult service to scale. And so these are some of the things we'll be touching on that we can help with an automated approach. And we'll touch on how these things merge as well. The idea is not to replace this necessarily, but to augment it and make it easier for you to teach the lessons you want your sales representatives to know, put together the playbook, and then have them apply those lessons in a safe place that is available on demand, and then come to you to show you the progress they've made. So that's kind of the approach we're taking here. All right. So some of the things we'll focus on in the demonstration today is that it is automated and quick. The scenario we're going to show you today, we're actually going to build out in the demonstration. So you'll see what kind of information you need to design these simulations, as we call them. And it's very straightforward information that you probably have top of hand already here, top of mind. The other thing we'll touch on is how frequently sales representatives can do these simulations. This environment is browser-based. It's meant to be used as frequently and as often as they need to feel confident going into that real customer meeting. In our experience with the clients we've worked with, they're finding it much easier to scale, especially if you're working with representatives that aren't just surrounded locally. If you're working kind of across the globe and you're trying to scale your program, this makes it quite a bit easier. And the other big piece that we'll touch on today is this concept of instant feedback. And I've heard time and time again from the customers we're working with that this is something sales reps really look for, is guidance on what they can do to improve. And of course, that can come from you, but it might not be available as quickly as you want to get it to these trainees. So we'll show you how the system can actually analyze what's happening in the simulation and provide some instant feedback immediately afterwards. And again, we're grateful for Trevor being our guinea pig today, so you can see some of his data. All right, any questions so far, let me know in the chat, but we're gonna switch screens here to jump into the demonstration. Hopefully everyone's excited. Please wish Trevor good luck in the chat. He's about to try and make a sale in front of everyone. And as I'm sure you all know, that's nerve-wracking enough without an audience of almost 85 people. So let's get it started here. Trevor, can we hear you all right?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, perfect. All right, folks. So what you're looking at here is the Instage Discovery Dry Run generator here. And this is where we need to put in some information about the sales scenario that we're preparing for. So I'm just going to pull some notes up I have here. Today, we're going to use Salesforce as an example. So let's say that I am a sales representative here planning to do a practice scenario for Salesforce. Let me just copy and paste this here. All right. So the first thing I would do here is put in the name of the product or service I'm selling. In this case, Salesforce CRM. The next thing we're going to do here is put in a few details about the prospect itself. So in this case today, let's just keep it simple. Let's say today that our prospect is the sales VP at a Fortune 1000 company. And as you put this in, you're going to see suggestions from Instage about what to include in these meeting details so that the scenario feels authentic, useful, and again, just helpful as you prepare for this actual interaction. All right, the next thing we're going to do is put in some details about our company. So these would be your core values, the things you're trying to do for your customers here. So again, just to save some time today and avoid some typos I might make while typing this. We're just copying it in, but you just type in the details of your company. So in this case, that Salesforce is a company that makes cloud-based software, etc. And the last thing we'll do here is we will add information about the solution, the specific product that you're selling here. So in this case, we'll talk about this Customer 360 app that they have. So we'll put that information in as well. So with just that in there, we can choose a difficulty today. By popular demand, we're going to put Trevor in the difficult scenario. And I'm just going to click generate. And with just that information, we are good to go here. It will create the scenario for us. Now, while this is loading here, does anyone have any questions about AI and about Instage in general so far? I know I'm kind of jumping straight into it because we don't have a lot of time with you here, but if there's any questions in general about artificial intelligence or Instage, please just let me know in the chat. The idea, of course, here is to create a tool that you can use that is automated and realistic to help you just train these sales representatives you have without you needing to be there and spending one-on-one time with them every time. That's kind of the approach here. And please let me know if there are any questions that I can answer again as we go here.
And Imran, while that's loading, one point I'd love to make is, so the information Imran just put in the scenario, that's the example of AI. So the system is now ingesting that information, and it's going to take that information. So whatever you put in, and then it's going to you're going to see it come to light and highly tailor it to what Trevor's going to experience. So that's one part of AI. And then Imran will kind of describe the AI in the background throughout the demo.
Absolutely. So exactly what Nicole is saying, it's taken that information and turned it into a scenario for us. So the more information you provide, the more information our AI characters have to come up with objections, to ask questions, and to really create a scenario that feels authentic. So you can see here now, we have some intel about the sales VP we're going to meet with, Azealia. You may not always know if you're going to meet with someone difficult, but in this case, Trevor does. It's also going to create a list of questions for us. Now you're seeing an admin view here. When sales representatives receive this as a training simulation, and let me show you how that works. All you have to do is click share, copy this link. When they click it, they will see the breakdown of the scenario and the option to start. They won't see an option to edit anything here. But you as trainers and sales managers do have the option to customize this if you want to. So from what we've seen, that's always important to our clients and customers, that they have the option to put in specific questions and frameworks that they want their sales representatives to prepare for. So you might put in a question, make sure that they're using something like a BANT approach, but it's up to you. It's ready to go off the shelf, but you have the option to customize it. All right, without further ado, let's jump in this meeting and see how it goes. Good luck, Trevor.
Thank you.
Well, hello there. So, I've been looking forward to this call. What can you tell me about Salesforce and how it can help my sales team?
Well, good morning, Azealia. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us today. Salesforce can certainly help your sales team in a number of ways, but without any context, I can't really focus on anything. So perhaps you could start by telling me what CRM you're using today and what are some of the challenges you're having.
Well, isn't that something? So, we're currently using an outdated CRM system that just isn't cutting it anymore. The challenges we're facing include poor communication between our sales, service, marketing, and IT teams, and a lack of AI-driven prompts to guide our sales team. Can Salesforce address these issues?
Yeah, certainly we can help you with those issues, Azealia, but you mentioned your system's a little bit older and out of date. Is do nothing an option? Like what's driving you to actually motivate your team to look at a new product?
Well, our current system is more like a relic from the Stone Age. So, we're looking to upgrade to something more advanced and user-friendly. Plus, we've heard great things about Salesforce. So it's worth exploring our options.
I'm just going to pause, Trevor, for a quick second there and highlight kind of what's happening here. And thank you, Trevor, again for doing this. Hopefully you're seeing, folks, how conversational this is. None of this is pre-scripted. Nothing of what Azealia has said was written ahead of time. It's entirely based on the conversation Trevor is driving here and the information we put in at the beginning. So to Nicole's point, we've given the AI enough information to give Azealia this personification here, this customer that's interested in Salesforce. And so hopefully you're seeing this natural conversation play out here. And I'll let Trevor continue in a second, just to get a little bit more data before we jump to the report. But that's the environment we are trying to create for sales reps here, is that it feels like a back and forth. They can ask the kind of probing questions they need to make sure there's a good fit, like Trevor's doing. And I'll hand it back over to you, Trevor, now, just to do a little bit more of a back and forth to show how this plays out.
Well, thanks for the compliment, Azealia. Yeah, we're excited here at Salesforce to show you what we can do for you. One of the things our customers benefit from, and one of the challenges you said you have, is we give you a holistic view of your sales, marketing, operations, and IT on one dashboard. And that's one of the key benefits you'll get if you implement Salesforce.
I'm going to give her a second to think there. So again, any questions so far, let us know in the chat. I'll hand it back over to Azealia to respond to this. And then we will head over to the report so you can see the analysis of how this conversation plays out. Any final thoughts there, Azealia?
So, a holistic view. Huh. Well, that does sound intriguing. I guess I'm curious about the complexity of integrating Salesforce with our existing processes and technology. Can you shed some light on that?
All right, I think we should give it up for Trevor here. He's done a great job. He's actually not a representative from Salesforce, but thank you,
No,
Trevor. For...
I've never sold CRM in my life. I was winging that as I was going. But one point I want to make, Imran, is when you do the pause, I've seen teams successfully do that as a team, as a group, and they'll say, okay, let's analyze what the avatar responded to. If a customer says that to us, how would we best respond to that? And collaboratively as a team, you can discuss that. And then whoever's interacting with the avatar can communicate that, pause again, listen to the answer and say, okay, we said this, she said this, how do we respond? So you can do it individually or as a team on your monthly or weekly Monday morning sales meeting too.
That's a fantastic insight, and I think 100% worth mentioning. So folks, just the way we're doing here, it could be as simple as setting up a Zoom meeting like this and watching those sales representatives go through. It's a chance to see kind of as a fly on the wall what they might be doing in an interaction. And Trevor, I'm sorry that I cut you off here before you could make the sale and that Azealia passed on this today, but I'm sure if you had the chance to continue, you'd have been able to close the deal here. But this is what to expect afterwards. So just from the brief interaction we had here, you can see some feedback on how this session went. You'll see a breakdown of how Trevor was speaking. So speed, volume, things like how many times he's saying words like or ah, and there are recommendations on how to improve this. There is an entire transcript that the representative can review or that you can review so that you can start to see where these areas of strength and weakness might be. And I'll just pull up a more comprehensive report so you can see kind of where this goes. But as the rep goes through the scenario, the system will actually analyze what they're saying and give them some feedback that they could use to improve the way they responded to certain questions. So some content-based analysis specifically on the way they answered questions and how they went through the process itself. Did they find out who the authority to make a budgeting decision is? Were they able to figure out the timeline? Things of that nature can be analyzed using the AI in the back end that's doing the analysis of the actual interaction. And this report, similar to the simulation, can be shared directly back to the sales training manager. Okay. Nicole or Trevor, anything else you would add on this side of things before I jump back to the slides and we make time for a couple questions here?
Yeah, the only point I would love to bring up, I spent 10 years in sales as well, how it's safe, but it's repetitive. So if someone is practicing and let's say, for example, something I've always struggled with is filler words, then they can work on that and then they can go to the next thing that they're working on, and maybe that's closing the deal. So what's so great and what I love about AI today is the personalization, where not everybody in that class is going to be the same. You can put them in these simulations and really break down where their strengths and weaknesses are, depending on what their background and skill sets are, and have the report shared back to you to review, make notes, and have them go back in and improve their skill sets. So it's really a beautiful kind of relationship now between a human and AI, and you might hear the word called a co-pilot. So now we can use these avatars as safe co-pilots to develop, help people develop the skills. Quite often when I was in sales training, we would have to do objection handling. How do you deal with a difficult client? How are you going to overcome those objections? Well, it's really easy. Put them in, put the scenario, create the scenario for them and have them practice. Because at the end of the day, if they practice, they can overcome. And it's cheap, right? Because if we have them make those mistakes with clients, then there's going to be a cost to it. If we can have them do this at repetition, see where their weaknesses are and have them in the field and successfully closing the deals, then that's a whole new ball game. So I guess I would just say the excitement for actual users that, have these weaknesses is really exciting, because it's a tool for them to progress and really as low-hanging fruit, but leave your advice or your team's advice as a high-level feedback, because it takes years to get experience, and we all know that. I mean, like I said, I was in sales for 10 years. So
that's a great insight to share. And
yeah.
Trevor, would you share anything from your end? I know you actually do a lot of the integrations with sales teams. Have you picked up anything that's just worth mentioning before I kind of close things off here?
Yeah, I guess everybody has a different sales process. Some people use BANT, some people use Spin, some people use Medic or MedPick for their sales process. We can model that as Imran showed you in the report. I think the default is BANT that we use, but we have other sales processes that if you have a custom one, we can do a custom sim for you as well.
Okay, thanks for sharing those insights, Nicole and Trevor. And again, folks, I see a couple of questions forming in the chat, so we will definitely start a conversation around some of those. I think we've hopefully touched on all of these points, the frequency you can practice with this, the ease of sharing this with your team, and the value of some of the instant feedback. So if you do have questions, what we'll do is we'll start answering those. I also just want to draw your attention to the fact that if you want to actually give this a try, we have this available for you. So we have a couple things we can do to help you try it if you're interested, and we'll direct you to that in a second. But you can also reach out to us with questions about some of the other tools we mentioned, of course, about Instage, but we're happy to share the insights we've gained from just helping sales teams in general improve their processes. So again, a huge thank you to Ruplan, the CSPA team here, for helping us put this together. And I'm going to jump into the chat here to answer questions here. So let me just pop that
yes,
up.
Imran, can we share that link for people that want to try talking to the avatars?
Yes, please go ahead and post that in the chat now. Thanks for doing that.
Okay, great. Trevor, if you could do that in the background, that would be awesome. But yes, I challenge everybody here because the avatars have different personas. So there's some nice and there's some difficult. So I challenge everybody on the call for Wednesday to choose Azealia when you talk, and make sure that you don't just answer her questions, like have that full conversation. It's a ton of fun. So I have to warn you, you'll have way too much fun with, well, both, but Azealia is super fun. So have that. But yeah, let's go through the questions here.
Yeah, so I'll answer the first question I saw there, which was, can you see whether or not sales representatives have completed the training and how long they've practiced for? There are two ways to do that. You can see a breakdown, for instance, from this simulation activity panel. how many training sessions have been completed. You can see this on an aggregate level too, how many times a specific training scenario has been completed as well. So 2 ways to go about doing that. You'll also be able to actually review the report if they have submitted it to you. So we've helped create this process because a sales representative might practice 10, 15 times before they're ready to submit the report. So you don't need to have every instance of their practice. One, they might have signed on and not had their microphone connected. So we have a submission process that they can just share their report when they're ready, and then you can actually review it. So a couple different ways to do that one. Okay.
Imran, I think oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Just for everyone here as well, there's also, so simulation is conversational, right? So there's also like practicing presentations as a common thing that sales reps have to do. So there's all different scenarios when you think of conversational practice that that people or your people can practice to see their performance. So it's not necessarily just a sales conversation.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm just trying to find my way in the chat here. Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of data privacy, all our servers are based in Canada. So for folks worried about anything to do with that, we've gone through a number of compliance steps to store this data. So that's a good question there. Okay, so do trainers and admin have full control of what is put into the system? Yes, exactly. So you'll be able to input that scenario. If anyone was just kind of popping in as we're going along here, as a sales trainer, you can do a lot of tweaking in terms of the information you put in here. So there's no limit to how many products or services you can create scenarios for or variations of those. So yes, you have full control over it. And not only that, once you've actually created the scenario itself, you can go in to further change specifics of that scenario once it's been generated. So you can come in here, edit the questions themselves, edit the actual scenario itself here if there's anything you want to change about the company name or details. So again, just lots of things we've learned from the customers we've spoken to. There are always little things they would like to tweak and adjust for their sales team specifically, like Trevor said, different sales processes, different goals and focuses. The tool has the capability to understand other languages, David. We haven't had a use case for that just yet, but there's definitely the potential for that if there's interest. Okay. And then I think we answered the question about timing there. I'm just going to come back here to see if I have missed anything. Rupalin, Nicole, Trevor, anything you think I might have missed there from the...
No, Trevor, do you have that link to give people access, or do you want me to?
Oh, I can find that as well here.
Yeah, that would be great.
And that's a great challenge. I do think it's a lot of fun as well. I think that's another thing that is somewhat underrated in terms of training is to keep it exciting and engaging. And I can almost guarantee that you will have some fun trying to make a sale in there. So I'll post this link in the chat. Definitely feel free to give it a try. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Again, feel free to think of us as a resource. We're, of course, here and excited to share information about Instage with you. But we're also here to just support the CPSA community. So if you have questions
about AI or anything, yeah.
And I think I'll hand it back over to Rupalin at this point. Again, thank you so much, Rupalin. Thank you to the CPSA for helping organize this. And back to you.
Thank you so much, Imran and Trevor and Nicole. That was a really, really cool demonstration on how AI can help and how AI can help sales training. So huge thanks to you, and huge thanks for answering all of our questions there, Trevor. You've also offered your email address, so that's trevor@instage.io if there are any other questions that we did not get to. David does have a quick question on pricing information, if that is available on your website, or if that's something that we can get in touch with Trevor or Nicole with.
Yeah, David, you can email me. Our basic version pricing is on the website, but our pro version, just reach out to me. No problem.
Awesome. Well, this is the first of what I'm sure will be a few cool partnerships like this. So we'd like to know how this webinar session served you as members. So please feel free to to answer our quick survey at the end of this session. And we'd love to know how this session served you as a sales professional. So huge thanks to everybody. And also it is Imran's birthday today. So happy birthday, Imran.
Thank you, Rupelin. Thank you very much.
Fantastic selling day. Hopefully you can all take full advantage of the 7-day trial that Instage has graciously offered us. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, David. Thanks, folks.
Thanks,
Have a great
everybody.
day. Have a great
Have
rest of
fun
your
with the avatars.
We'll have fun
Cheers.
with Azalea.
Thanks, folks.
Yeah,
Good luck.
Azealia. Good luck.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.